Hello, everybody, and welcome to Haiku Talk. I'm your host, Ben Ga, your friendly neighborhood haiku poet, and today we're going to take a look at a piece from the late Cor Vanden Heuvel. Cor passed away in September, and wanted to get a piece dedicated to him, an episode dedicated to him. It took a little while, but here we go. That piece it's a one-liner. I'm going to use the first word from that one-liner of raining, and it comes to us from this beautiful collected poems from the Haiku Foundation called At the Top of the Ferris Wheel, selected haiku of Cor Vanden Heuvel. So, with that said, you know what time it is. It's time to sit back, relax, grab yourself a tasty beverage, and let's haiku. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Haiku Talk. Again, I'm your host, Ben Ga, and this is a channel dedicated to taking a look at contemporary English language haiku, one poem at a time. Normally, I take a new piece that's just been released in a new issue of a journal, so I'm focused primarily on living poets and living journals and fresh work, just to show how vibrant and alive this form is. And from that, I'll take a poem, break it down, and show you how it works and kind of why it resonates and how to think about it sometimes in the greater context of your own writing of haiku. Now, Cor Vanden Heuvel was kind of a giant, one of the living giants still among the contemporary English language haiku community. He was there from the 50s and was instrumental in shaping a lot of our lives, those of us that have been doing this for a long time, through his wonderful haiku anthology, the Haiku Anthology. And I have both the second edition here, which is awesome, and the widely popular, widely sought after third edition, which is what I started with. Went backwards and got the second edition because I was recommended to get it, and I was glad I did. But this book taught me so much about what it means to write this form and exposed me to so many wonderful poets and wonderful poems that I'm still chewing on and living from and looking forward to meeting when I can from time to time in person. That I can't tell you how much Cor has meant to me. I'm just starting my annual reading of this book. I read it at least once every year, sometimes twice, cover to cover, all of the haiku. And it has been very informative, like I said, to helping me become the writer I am today. And it continues to be something I look to for guidance and look to for friendship. These poems, these things they become your friends over time. And with Cor's passing, I wanted to pick a poem. I didn't want to pick one of his most famous ones, but just a poem that kind of spoke to me, and that I think does him justice, obviously, but also just kind of shows what a master that's writing at the top of their game can do with this form. But before I do that, I want to read a couple little bits that Cor has said about haiku that are found in this book, because I think it sets up nicely the poem we're going to focus on today. In the very beginning of this book, there's in the autobiographical note at the top, there's a quote of Cor's that says, "The magic of haiku defies analysis. In its very simplicity lies its greatest mystery, the mystery of clear water and blue sky, of a petal's tint and a bird's song, of sunlight and shadows." Great quote. And then at the end of this wonderful work, there's an interview from him from 2003 that has some good little bits two little bits that I want to call attention to. The first is this. Why is simplicity so important to haiku? One reason is because it intensifies the mystery. That these few words can magically create so much is itself mysterious. They have a power much greater than such talismanic words as open sesame in the story of Ali Baba, or the abracadabra heard in countless children's stories or intoned by magicians before they pull a bunch of flowers out of a hat. Haiku gives you not only the flowers, but flowers still growing in the ground, along with the landscape around them, the meadow, the garden or woods, and the sky, cloudy or blue. And to top it all off, even a breeze to stir the petals. Abracadabra, he says. Just look on any page of the Haiku Anthology. Any version of that will do you good, and I agree with that. The last little bit is on the previous page where he says on haiku, its few suggestive words enable the reader. Now, we've talked about suggestive language in haiku. I have the 3 S's of haiku as simple, succinct, and suggestive. So its few suggestive words enable the reader to call up a whole scenario that is only hinted at. Yet within such a scene may lie the mystery of all of life. I'm going to read that again. Yet within such a scene may lie the mystery of all of life. This mystery is presented to us not as a puzzle or something confusing, but as a present, something to wonder at with pleasure, to relate to, not to question. This mystery also is related to the source of the often talked about oneness haiku creates between nature and the reader poet. It's a mystery we love because it unites us with the rest of existence. So very well said. I mean, come on, right? That is all of the things, among all of the things that I love about this form. The connection to the reader, the suggestive language that in a few words suggests something that becomes so large, and the fact that it does this in such an easy to understand way or easily accessible way is just, it's mystifying, it's mysterious, and it's wonderful. Now, the poem I want to focus on today, like I said, with the one-word one that starts with the word raining, just 4 words long. Just 4 words. And for my dollars to donuts, this is what everyone should be striving for, to be able to write something as good as this. Raining at every window. Raining at every window. Yeah. It's one of these types of poems. Now, I'm not going to break this down as sort of a fragment and phrase or try to deconstruct it and analyze it too much, because part of what this is just the juxtaposition of words together, of the raining and then at every window, that makes this whole scene pop and puts a whole lot into one 4-line poem. For me, I'll tell you, for me, as a reader, my response to this is obviously I love it. And why do I love it? Because what it says is that when it's raining outside, put yourself wherever you are, wherever you live, wherever it's raining. And I go from window to window to look at the rain. And at every window I look out of, I see the rain. This one weather event that's occurring. And I just move from window to window to get the best view, to take it in, to watch it, to be electrified by it, to be calmed by it. I mean, there's so many ways I interact with, you can interact with a rainstorm of some sort. I mean, I said storm, but the storm isn't part of this poem. I added that to it because I love to watch storms out the window. I love looking at it. I love watching it. In my loft here, I have lucky enough to have 7 windows, and they look north of the city of St. Louis, and I can watch a storm roll right on through window, and pass on by. And so I can take that whole storm in through 7 windows of city skyline all at once. So at every window, I can see the rain, or I can move window to window to see the rain. I remember being at different houses growing up that I lived in, where you can go to the front side, the back side, the bedroom window. You can look at every window in the house, go to every room to see the rain, especially if there was something big coming in. Going around and checking out at every window to see, are the windows shut? What's happening? Where is the storm coming from? Does the clouds look crazy? Or what direction is this happening from? All of these things I experience when I read this poem. I go to, I'm taken to, in the mysteriousness of these suggestive 4 words. I go to so many different places in my life, so many different rain events, and I visit so many different little moments along the way of interactions with people in that house, like sitting on a couch in college, watching the rain come in and feeling the mist coming through the spring on my legs and my girlfriend at the time's legs. There's all of these different things, like the events that I've had here in the city, looking out over the St. Louis city skyline. Sitting on a back porch, or watching my dad walk around the house when my mom was telling him to get in the basement during a thunderstorm, a tornado warning, and he just had to go and check things out. He couldn't stop looking out the windows, despite that we had a warning and a tornado was sighted, and he really should have been downstairs, but he was caught up in the energy, had to see, had to look. All of that stuff for me is packed into these 4 little words, and that's just my life. Those are just my experiences. I can only imagine how many countless others chorus triggered in everybody that comes across this poem. And I know in the United States, we just had 2 hurricanes back to back. So the major flooding, major things. So the idea of looking out the window, I've been watching YouTube videos of people watching the storm come in from their houses, the people that decided to stay in Florida to ride out this most recent storm, people in North Carolina, in the Carolinas, in the Smoky Mountains and stuff, watching the creek rise outside of their homes, wondering whether or not should leave or not. But this is also just looking out the window, watching the rain, the water's happening. It speaks to so many different possibilities and so many different moments in life, all from these 4 small words. And the way that it's balanced, the way that it's structured, with the raining at every window, it's just brilliant, And like I said, we all hope and strive to write such a thing. I tried my hand at it. I came close. I got one published in Firefly's Light in 2020, a 2-liner, which is on the same theme of this, which is moving window to window, the storm cloud. Moving window to window, the storm cloud. It's a 2-liner. It's on the same kind of idea, but instead of rain at every window, just watching that cloud move across the sky into the different windows. And I'm sure other people out there that are watching have probably tried to write a similar type poem at some point in your life. I think if you are living and you encounter rain and you're a haiku poet, this is gonna come at you at some point in your writing, this type of moment. And Core did it just so eloquently. Man, a real giant. He will be missed. But thankfully, he participated in the great conversation of letters, this great conversation we have as human beings. And he has lots of different books and poems as are collected here. Top of the Ferris Wheel. And like I said, he did a whole lot for the rest of us by putting together these wonderful, wonderful anthologies. I just have 2 here. It's been involved in many others. and he was president of the Haiku Society of America for a period of time. He just was all over the place, a giant among us, and it was we definitely feel the weight of him passing. But he's left us so much work, so many things to enjoy, inspired so many, and with that, cheers to you, sir. Cheers. Thank you for everything you gave us and continue to give me. Like I said, I'm redoing my annual reading of the Haiku Anthology, 3rd edition. It's pretty torn up, and but I love it, And these are things I encourage you, if you have a book like this, and if you don't have this book in your collection, you need to do it. You need to find a copy, somehow get it. And I would encourage you to read it more than once. And when you do read it, try to maybe do something like I do. I put little tick marks by the poems that I like every time I go through the book. I think I've showed you this kind of before. I don't know if it's going to come up on the screen about how I will tick mark so that I can count when I go back into this. I can count how many times I've read it. And then if I put comments in there, I can put little comments in there sometimes about something I like specifically about a poem. And what I'll do is I'll put the date after the comment, and I'll put whatever location that I'm in at the moment for when I'm writing that comment. And these things become not only great records of, great tools to keep rereading and keep trying new things and polishing your tools and refining your skills. But when you go back and reread them, you'll discover the different yous, the different people that you were at different times in the year. I just think from 2016 when I was on a flight somewhere. And you see how you grow, and you see how your tastes change, and you see how that poem that you read the very first time you went through the anthology, you've liked the 13th, 15th, 17th time you've gone through. And then sometimes you'll discover ones that didn't mean anything to you the first several times you read the book, but suddenly something in your life changed, or the time of year you were in where you're reading it hit you just right, and you like it. Mark that book. These are tools, and they're indispensable. If you want to buy another one to keep precious that's unmarked, to have that thing that toy in the box that hasn't been looked at, we'll do that too. But don't be afraid to mark your books. They are your friends. And Cora has been a friend of mine since I've been doing really all in on this in 2009. And yeah. Cora Vanden Heuvel, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you're well. I hope you're reading. I hope you're writing. Until next time, peace.